I've seen this kind of story many times. A wife, tired and full of contempt for her husband, asks for a divorce. But later, when she sees her ex-husband renovating a new apartment to remarry, she regrets it and starts making a scene, demanding to move back in with him. The woman seen being pushed to the ground is named Lee Yumaya, and the two people arguing with her are her ex-husband and ex-mother-in-law. To stop Lee Yumei from throwing more things out of the room, her ex-husband Yi Jian, together with his mother, angrily tried several times to drive her away. But how did former family members end up in such a violent conflict? Lee Yumei, 38 years old, had recently finalized her divorce. The couple agreed that each would take custody of one of their two children, a boy and a girl. The 160-square-meter apartment they jointly owned was transferred to their son's name. Lee Yumei said that, in order to take care of her son, she often returned home to do laundry and cook. But what she never expected was that, less than 3 months after the divorce, her ex-husband was already preparing to remarry, and had started renovating the apartment. Meanwhile, he had moved her into a storage room of less than 10 square meters. After 15 years together, how did things come to this? Later, she took reporters to see her ex-husband's newly renovated apartment. The place was full of stacked furniture and felt cold and empty. Lee Yumei said that her ex-husband did it on purpose, to stop her from using anything. He had locked all the rooms with keys. After speaking with reporters, Yi Jian agreed to meet with her to clarify things about the renovation. "I didn't make this story up. Everything here was bought by me," he said. According to Yi Jian, all the furniture was purchased after the divorce, by him and his new wife. So naturally, the ex-wife had no right to use any of it. He also claimed that Lee Yumei had been the one who insisted on the divorce, left the house, and demanded 200,000 yuan in compensation. In his view, Lee Yumei only wanted to come back out of jealousy, using taking care of the child as an excuse, when that wasn't the real reason. "After the divorce, I cut all ties. No more clinging to the past. The boy is with me. It's been 3.5 months. My mother and my new wife take good care of him. Of course, it would be better if both biological parents were together, but that's impossible now, isn't it?" Reporters tried to persuade Yi Jian to let Lee Yumei stay temporarily to look after their son. But he immediately refused. He said the custody was his and that his new wife took good care of the boy. Lee Yumei no longer had any relationship with them. She already sold her share of the house, took the money, and their daughter is grown up too. Why didn't she think about all that before? Yi Jian said it was Lee Yumei who didn't consider the children when she demanded the divorce, and that he remarried precisely to give them a stable home. He praised his new wife, saying she treated the boy very well, and that was why he refused to let Lee Yumei step back into his life. Hearing her ex-husband repeatedly praise the new wife, Lee Yumei lost her temper. She started throwing things out of the room, as if trying to prove she was still the true owner of the house. The ex-husband and his mother rushed to stop her, and in anger, pushed her out the door. But Lee Yumei didn't give up. She tried to get in several times, only to be thrown out again and again. "Either you leave once and for all," he shouted. Pushed once more, Lee Yumei fell to the ground crying uncontrollably, while her ex-husband and mother-in-law completely ignored her. How did this woman, once a beloved wife and daughter-in-law, end up being rejected with such contempt? Later, Yi Jian called the reporter aside for a private conversation and shared his thoughts about his ex-wife. Next, the reporter went to speak with the neighbors to better understand the situation. One resident, Teacher Ma, commented, "Ah, that woman is so bossy. The man doesn't even care about her anymore. She's quarrelsome, never stops talking, no one can stand her." According to the neighbors, Yumei seemed to be a very controlling and temperamental woman. Now, her ex-husband Yi Jian had already built a new family, yet Yumei kept insisting on moving back into the house, claiming she wanted to take care of their son. But was it really out of motherly love, or interest in the property? "He thinks I'm lazy, that I don't like to work, but I feel so wronged. I can't work, my body is weak, and the main thing is that I have no income, I even have debts," Yumei told the reporters. She explained that since childhood she had been frail and often sick. Throughout the 15 years of marriage, her ex-husband had always been the one responsible for the household expenses, while she stayed home caring for the children. Because she didn't earn money, her husband's family gradually began to despise her. The year before, the government compensated the family with 800,000 yuan for the demolition of their old house, and the couple used 300,000 to buy a new apartment. Still, her mother-in-law continued to criticize her relentlessly, until one day, in anger, Yumei demanded a divorce. Holding the divorce certificate, regret was now written all over her face. He doesn't want to talk to me anymore. I've always been sick, I never earned money. Before, he paid for everything. And I, in a moment of anger, asked for a divorce, and it happened. I shouldn't have done that. Yumei never imagined that a moment of impulse would destroy the home of her 2 children. Now, she only wished to take care of her son again. But would Yi Jian accept that? The reporters returned to the ex-husband's apartment complex. There was Yi Jian, holding hands with his new wife, clearly younger than Yumei. How would he react to the reappearance of his ex-wife? I haven't spoken to her since the divorce. Last year, I gave her 200,000 yuan. She was the one who wanted the divorce. Since then, it's over, said Yi Jian. According to him, although Yumei had never worked during the marriage, he had never complained. But after receiving the 800,000 yuan compensation, she took 200,000 and completely changed, insisting on divorcing him. In his view, Yumei became greedy after getting the money, began to look down on him, and now wanted to move back into the new home, something unacceptable to him. She only cares about money. There's no way I'd let my current wife and my ex live under the same roof. The reporter argued that the apartment was under the son's name, and holding a wedding there would be inappropriate. It's your son's house, how can you marry another woman there? Yi Jian replied. Why not? The house belongs to my son, but I'm the one living with him. My wife and I are legally married, and my son didn't object. I remarried precisely to give him a stable home. The reporter then suggested letting the boy decide. If he wanted to live with his mother, Yumei could move in. If he chose his father, she would move out. The 13-year-old boy was interviewed alone. Your parents are divorced, right? Who do you want to live with? I want to stay with my mom, he answered shyly. Hearing this, Yumei burst into tears, while Yi Jian said he would respect his son's choice, agreeing to go to the notary office the next day to make it official. But unexpectedly, Yi Jian changed his mind. He demanded that if he were to move out, Yumei must return the 200,000 yuan she received during the divorce, in cash. He claimed that in their original agreement, she had promised never to move back, and he would only allow it if the money was paid back. Yumei, however, refused. Yesterday, in front of the reporter, our son chose to stay with me. You should leave the house without asking for anything. Angered, Yi Jian left the mediation, saying he didn't want to deal with her anymore. The attempt at reconciliation failed. In the end, Li Yumei said she would take legal action to defend her rights. And the story leaves one question. Do you think the ex-husband should let his ex-wife move into the new house?
You know, there are some stories you watch and wonder if they're real life or just a badly written soap opera. But no, this one actually happened. And the strangest part is that the main character seems to live in a parallel world where guilt, shame, and logic are rare luxuries. Li Yumei, 38 years old, frail, sick, wronged. For 15 years, she was supported by her husband while taking care of the children. Nothing wrong with that. But when money came into the picture, along with compensation for their demolished house, the poor victim decided it was time to free herself from the burden called marriage. She asked for a divorce, pocketed 200,000 yuan, left the house, and slammed the door on her way out. Then came the tragicomedy. Less than 3 months later, the ex-husband renovated the apartment, found a new wife, and started over. Suddenly, Yumei's motherly heart awakened. Now, all she wants is to take care of her son. What a coincidence, right? Just when her ex has a new house, a new wife, and a life that works perfectly fine without her. It's funny how some people think they can walk out whenever they want and come back whenever they please, as if time stops to wait for their regret. Li Yumei wanted a divorce, and she got it. She wanted money, and she got that too. But what she couldn't stand was seeing her ex rebuild his life without needing her, because deep down, it wasn't about the child, nor love. It was about wounded pride and the refusal to accept that the world moved on. The scene of her storming into the apartment, throwing things out the window, and crying on the floor would be tragic if it weren't so theatrical. While the ex-husband tries to stay calm, she acts as if she still has the right to command that house, the very same house she abandoned. It's almost a living metaphor for someone who destroys their own home and then plays the victim for being homeless. And the most absurd part? When the ex-husband offers a simple deal. You want to move back? Then return the 200,000 yuan. Seems fair, doesn't it? But for Yume, money is no longer her concern. Now she claims the right to be a mother, the right to care. Yet that kind of love always comes with a price tag. In the end, their 3-year-old son becomes the battlefield between two emotionally broken adults. It's sad to see a child forced to choose between his parents when he should have been protected from all of this. But for us watching from the outside, the spectacle is both grotesque and revealing. A woman who wanted freedom, but not the cost that comes with it. And that's where life's irony hits hardest. Yume wanted to prove she was independent, but ended up begging to live under her ex's roof. She wanted to show she didn't need anyone, yet she couldn't stand seeing him happy without her. It's as if her motherly love was just a convenient mask for someone who couldn't bear to lose control or comfort. Perhaps the most disturbing part of this story is realizing that her regret doesn't come from losing love, but from losing power. Power over her husband, over the home, over the victim narrative she built for herself. And once that power vanished, all that was left was the performance of self-pity loud enough to convince the audience she was still right. But the real world doesn't work that way. Choices have consequences, and time doesn't rewind just because someone regrets too late. And in the end, the ex-husband, the one criticized for being cold and heartless, seems to be the only one who truly understood that. He moved on, while Yume, trapped between pride and need, became a prisoner of her own story. It's a story that exposes human selfishness, the hypocrisy disguised as affection, and the inability to take responsibility for one's own actions. And the most ironic thing? Amid all this chaos, the only sane person seems to be the man accused of not having a heart. If you enjoyed the video, leave a like, subscribe to the channel for more stories like this, and tell me in the comments. Do you think she really wanted to take care of her son, or just couldn't stand seeing her ex happy without her? See you in the next video.